Hey guys and girls, today we are going to have a look at creating textures in our guitar lines when we're writing for multiple guitars in a song. It's important to create texture because if all of our guitars are playing in a similar place over a similar pattern, it creates a bit of a mush, a bit of muddiness that we really don't want. And this actually goes all the way back to orchestra work where each part of the orchestra plays a different kind of variety of sound. And then together it creates a lovely combination. But if they were all playing exactly the same or in unison, as we call it in music, then it can all just sound a bit too much. It works sometimes for some ideas, but not all the time. So when we're starting to try this, what I'm going to try and do is only do it over one chord at the beginning. When we get more confident with this, we can start using this over multiple chords, but for now, just work over one chord. I did it earlier on a looping pedal, which is a good option for doing it. They're relatively cheap now and a great way of practicing, but you can also do it using Garageband on your iPad or on your Mac. But there's loads of different ways in which you can do this if you haven't got access to any of that stuff, including voice recorders. So there's three main things that we can change as we're going through this. And I'm just going to go through them now to give you an idea of what each different change does. You may pick one of these things for each of your parts. You might pick all three of these for each of your parts. It depends how different you want them to sound from each other. Now, on electric guitar, we have multiple options, and you might have noticed as I was going through my song that I was switching between the different pickups on my guitar. This creates a different sound, a different dynamic for each part, so it almost sounds like I'm playing them on a different instrument. Now, some people might pick to play them actually on a different instrument, which is an option if you're recording, probably not if you're looping. So you can get close enough by moving this switch, which will give you a different tone on each of your settings. You might only have three up here if you've got more of a Les Paul or PRS type shaped guitar, but you can still get a good amount of difference between all your pickups to make each part sound slightly different. I've actually got 10 on this guitar, so I've got loads of options to work with. The next part is picking where we play on the neck. If you play a lower chord, it's got more depth, a lower sound to it. If you play up high, and we really want to plan out that when we're recording our parts. Are we going to have a low part for this one? Do we want this on high? That will once again create those different divisions. And what a really good trick is to avoid where you are going to play your melody or your solo over. So if you're going to solo in the middle of your neck, you might create your accompaniment with the low part of the neck and the high part of the neck to make the melody or the solo stand out. Also, along those same lines and with that same vein, you might choose to play full chords or part chords or single notes while you're doing your parts. That will also massively change the tonality of each of your parts and make them stand out. So like at the beginning, I started with a power chord, then I played a single note, then I played a kind of picked out half chord over the top, all over B minor, no chord changes, all just B minor for that whole part. Which comes to my last bit. We need to have different rhythms for each of our part. If every single part plays exactly the same, there will be no space for your solo, and there will be no space for anything else because it will all be on the spot. So for my beginning part, I played really straight on those power chords. I had a kind of funky rhythm going on with that high single note, and then I had straight again, but more picked out with that higher chord. And that just creates real definition between all of your guitar parts. And then when you come in for your solo, you got loads of space to work over, loads of gaps, as well as nice full sounding backing to play over. As I said, this can be done with a looper or this can be done with recording. It's kind of down to what equipment you've got and what you're using. But a looper is a really good way of doing it. I'll put a recommended one down below for you to go have a look at. There's a couple that are quite cheap now, as well as the old faithfuls like I've got a Ditto Looper, which is excellent. And when you're really able to master that over one chord, get that real good feel of space and like you're filling the whole spectrum of frequencies, maybe it is then time to start having a look at trying that over multiple chords. And I'll kind of leave that to your discretion, but the idea is exactly the same. You make these alternate paths each guitar line. So where I was doing my straight bit, I might just move that between my chords, and then with my high bit I might move that to different notes in each of the chords, and the same with my picked out bit. They don't really have to differ too much, they just need to move with the rest of the chords, which is why it's really good practice to do it with one chord to start with, because it means we get really used to creating these separate parts. So hopefully now you've got all the tools you'll need to create your own backing track, your own backing for any solo or song, and give it that nice full sound like you hear on a record. Remember, try and leave some space for your solo or your melody, and also try not to play too much in one section. Those are our main real goals. Try not to fill out the sound all in one space. Try and space it out across your neck. Use different settings to achieve lots of different frequencies and sounds. I can't wait to hear what you guys have made, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.